Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome once again to my journey that I have had here on Humanity Healing for many years. I'm not going to try to remember how many years, and it's a continuance of my personal journey as Charlie Riverman from a near-death experience 22 years ago. My purpose is as being an earth angel for those who may not know me. And recently, in the shifting of the energies, I've been guided to do this talk in the afternoon at 2:22. And the reason for that may sound a little strange, but I just want you to understand that everything that I have done in the past 22 years has been quite strange, not only for myself, but for other people around me to witness. And that each of us are going through this period right now where who we are, what we think, and what we do is shifting. And it's shifting right now in a way that people see it as all this negativity. Yet we have to see the negativity in order to understand how deeply it is needed to come out of that and into the future of peace, light, and love. And those are the principles that I teach, that I was given the message to teach, was peace, light, and love. So it's not a question of I know more than you. It's just that during the process of dying and coming back, gateways were opened and communications were open. And the 222 represents 222 galaxies. And I don't know if I've said this publicly, but I'm not fearful of doing that now. And because the understanding is that eventually everybody will understand far more than what they understand now. It's inevitable, and the scientific and research people who have been working on these things for years can't hide them anymore because it's impossible to do that. We're in a cycle, a spiral of evolution that each one of us are going to do uniquely and yet collectively as a unified field. So today's talk really stems from a talk I do on Thursdays in a group called Go to the not Go to the Whole. Here's where the brain fog is. And it's not Hearts Across the World. I've been there. It's the Global Heart Team. The Global Heart Team. Bless you, my dear beloved brothers and sisters, for forgetting your name. But that's what I'm left with now is this challenge of not being able to smell or taste and brain fog. I look at it not so much as a distortion as I do. It can be an aggravation, but all of us have had to go through some changes, and many of them have not been comfortable. So what does oneness of love have to do with that? And how could oneness of love really affect any of that? What is oneness of love, really? love, when we think of love, it's a multidimensional thing, experience. It's on many levels. Oneness of love. No, we have new two people to have to create love. No, oneness is where we came from. Oneness is really what we are. Each one of us are in another dimension, a part of each other, much like the molecules in our body. We are molecules in planet Earth's body and the atmosphere's body. Sounds a little far-fetched, I'm sure. But when we start to look at our connection to everything, we realize that we rely on the elementals of planet Earth in order to live and function here. And the two most important at this point in time are water and air. And water has been turned into a commodity, and a commodity can be controlled. And if you think about your body is, and I say this all the time, is almost 100% water. It's 98% to at some levels, and most people say it's much less. It depends on how you look at the water structure within you. So if that's made a commodity and people are able to control it and own it and buy it and do whatever they want, that is necessarily reflecting on us. So it's a time now to really think about, who am I then? Am I the water? Am I this body? Am I the air that I breathe? Because that's another commodity that may happen. This is the sad part of what's happening now. It's the sometimes frightening part. Again, what does this have to do with the oneness of love? So my guides guided me to do this message and on the Global Heart Team. And I will do it at the end, but I just wanted to go through what we talked about. And what it is that when you look outside your heart, you have chakras, okay? And you have a heart chakra, and you have a solar plexus chakra, okay? One is above the other. The heart chakra is really who we are. The heart chakra is connected to our highest self, our singular self, our unified self. When I died, I went through peace, then a state of love, a light, and then to love. And love was pure. It was just pure love. There are no words that can describe that. So let's put your hands on your heart chakra. It doesn't matter what you put, left or right, and just place it right there at the heart. And know that as you breathe, okay, as you breathe through your body, air comes into your lungs, it dissipates into your bloodstream. It is all being circulated by the heart, which is also the fluid. The water in our body flows through the heart and our veins into our whole system. So this is our connection of unity with Mother Earth. If Mother Earth did not have those abilities or capacities or that beingness, we would not be able to be here. And this is what we've forgotten because we're fascinated with science and teaching, and we've become greedy and wanting to have power. And the reality is we have more power than everybody has when they create this false identity of power. Each one of you are powerful in your own hearts. Hello, Rachel. Praying that the pure of heart to have control over the worlds. Indeed, And the reality is, Rachel, that we do. We've just forgotten how to tap into it and to bring it up again. And that's what a lot of my talks are about, is about each of us have that ability, even though we've been taught we don't, even though we've been um, shunned away from groups and families because we thought we had that ability, because they want to live in that world that they've been taught to live in. And what we're doing as we awaken is we're realizing that that world that we were taught to live in has a lot of problems. We all know what they are. I don't have to go there. But the center, the chakra, our love center, is where we receive and share the oneness of love. It's from here, from the heart. We receive it and we give it in and out. It has nothing to do with the mind, has nothing to do with the brain. People will argue with me, oh, you have to think about it. No, you don't have to think about it. You didn't have to think about it when you came into your mother's womb. You didn't have to, you had no way to talk about it. That was all entrained to you as you evolved in this physical body. And that was part of our ability to survive as a living species on planet Earth, where there were other living species, but it had nothing to do with who we really were. And this is what I try to tell people, is that it doesn't mean that we can go around and just do magic all the time, or create something out of nothing. It doesn't mean we don't have the possibility to do that. But the world and the universe has sort of levels at which we can operate within a reasonable amount so that we don't destroy what is already here. When we look at the world around us, we realize that the world around us, through centuries after centuries, have created a pattern of destruction, a pattern of failing and then conquering and then failing, and it's, if I look at it from a long distance over the past, when we go back into our ancestors to now, we realize that we're suffering now from ancestral wounds, not just the wounds we hear. We may be safe in this house and everything, but our ancestral traumas and wounds are now being released. And they're being released through us, which can be very challenging and very not pleasant. So each of you that are experiencing that, know that it's not an attack on you. It's nothing you have done wrong. It's just that there's this giant releasing, this releasing of what has held us back from the oneness of love. It's a releasing of all of that which creates separation from love. And that was part of their rule in conquering, was you get people to believe that they're weak, they have no power, their love isn't strong enough to save them, and you move on and you take over and control everything. It's a real simple effect, and it works. And it's worked not only in our lifetime, it's worked in all our ancestors' lifetimes as well. And we write stories about it so that it fortifies that this is the way we are to live as humans. No, I'm going to say no, and I'm going to say no again. And that's what I learned, was that we are far more than what we think we are. And if we seek to find that place within ourselves, the only place that it can be sought is in our hearts. And through our hearts. And our heart is the connection to the multiverse. It's from there we came, it's from there we return. You can put any name you want on it, as whether it's religious or scientific or whatever names you want. It doesn't matter what you call it. It's a natural process. And so each one of us have that ability to stop and pause and say, what does my heart want? What am I feeling in my heart? Not what my head is thinking. What is happening in my heart? Is there an attraction or is there a repulsion in my heart? My brain can make all kinds of stories to justify the worst thing I've ever done. And I'm sure you've been there. I have. I've been a drug addict. I've been an alcoholic. I was homeless. I was all those things because I listened to the brain. I survived, and the only way I could survive was to use my brain because nobody ever taught me about love or taught me or cared or loved me enough to make me understand the power of it. I'm going to pause here because I know I may be touching a tiny nerve in each of your bodies where that may bring up a memory of someone that you had loved or was supposed to love you and it failed. And that pain and that injury has stayed with us our whole life. And because of that pain and because of that, the brain has decided, I'm not going to go through the day, so I'm going to go around it. And I'm going to create a way to sustain myself and make believe I'm in love. But I'm not going to ask, what does true love really mean? And it's right here in this heart chakra. And so what I want you all to do today is just to think about your hearts. To think about your hearts and to think about oneness. What does oneness mean? What is the oneness that I'm talking about? Well, it's the higher self. It's the higher self and our love center, the heart chakra. And when the higher self and the heart chakra come together, this is a coupling that we talk about, masculine and feminine, but it's divine masculine and divine feminine energies come together. There wasn't an apple that caused the problem. There wasn't a snake that caused this problem. What it was a separation of the heart and the mind. And the mind took over. If there's any snake, it's in your head. And that's what we got to remember now, is that it no longer has power over us. As we come back into our hearts, we start to see an open portal to the worlds of our higher self. What is that higher self? I've been there. I can't explain it to you other than 3 words: peace, light, and love. Many people tell their near-death stories, and they're beautiful. And I'm sure that's exactly what they came back with, and that's what they know. And that's beautiful. But the reality is, beyond all of the stories, who are you? What are you? If you are there and you can remember it, yet your body is not having a heartbeat here, what are you? You are peace, you are light, and you are love. Before anything. You are a purity that no human language can describe, because it's beyond the brain and the numbers and the languages to put into a way that can be controlled. It's an uncontrollable energy. The only being who controls that is you. But each of us has been trained to not listen to it. Each of us has been trained that it is sinful, or it's the devil, or it's some black thing, or it's some alien being, or whatever we've created stories so that we would not trust what's in our hearts. And the first key that it is not from your heart is that it has negative energy. We live in a world of duality, okay? There's good, there's black, bad, there's black, there's white. It's the yin and yang. But when we are speaking darkness, doesn't matter. You can put any label you want onto it. It's empty. It's void. It has no energy. The energy, the positive energy, moves through that field. And that's what brings us light. That's what brings us love. That's what connects us in joy. It's so beautiful when you can start to see that and understand that. And it's hard to believe, and it's taken me all these 22 years, and I'm still learning more every day about heart resonance and different levels of beingness that are beyond words. I can't even speak about them. So this is where we are. This is where we are. Let us focus on that love center, the oneness, the oneness that we are born with, that have created the birth. It's our pure light. It's our pure light. When the sperm and the egg connect, there's a flash of light. They've got pictures of it. A flash of light. How can a flash of light happen? There's no electrical cords there, but it happens, and it can be photographed. This is the light that you are. You come from love, you become light, and you come into form. And in that womb, you develop. And if our heart doesn't start to beat, the brain never has any issue at all. It cannot exist without the heart beating. So this brain that we praise and we have to fill, and it's the manipulation tool. We are manipulated through the brain. We are so convinced by the energies and the electromagnetic fields that are affecting our brains that we shut our hearts down. Our hearts become distorted. We go into anger, hate, revenge, greed. All of those are attributes of what I call an over electrical charge from the brain to the heart. And that's easy for us to shut down because we know if we protect our heart, we'll keep living. We don't think about it, but we know it in our heart of hearts. So I share this with you just to open this field to you to think deeper that we are born light. We are born pure light. And we came from pure love without any distortions, as we would think of as humans. Our purity, irregardless of the shape or condition of the form of your body that you come into, and I know many of you are born crippled or sick or whatever, that's your body. You are not your body. As you know, when people lose their brain, they can't use their body. You still can communicate them in a hospital bed, and they recognize you. You recognize them. When everything else they'll tell you isn't working, but what is working? Their hearts. There's no language that can describe it. It's a moment of peace within yourself. Within my ego that has been crushed, my heart as well has become left with a pure sight that we must clear a space for. True healing, as in all healing, must have a clean space. Beautiful, Rachel. Each one of you understand that this is where we have come to. We have come to this point in our evolution where the oneness of love will rise again. And it's not so much for our generation, but it's you take it 7 generations into the future. Look at those beings. They may not even look like us, because now we have a way to rearrange the whole physical body through DNA. So here's the thing, we might not even look like humans in the future, 7 generations from now. Hopefully they're not failures of people's mad minds, and hopefully that we are more beautiful than we are right now. And we've eradicated what the illnesses can do to us, rather than trying to profit from them. My words may not sound very pleasant, but I tell you that you are the pleasantry here. Each one of you, as you come into that power of that true self, that you don't have to die to learn. Just allow yourself to explore that dimension of your own existence gently and quietly. And thank yourself, honor yourself through your heart. The brain will relearn how to listen to the heart. It was only taught not to. It was taught to listen out here, not in here. Follow your heart. And then love becomes the light we are, that we always were, even before we came into our mother's womb. So I'm going to take a pause right here, right now. Take a deep breath. And I'm going to ask you who are listening to also pause and just take a gentle breath within. I'd like to breathe in through my nose, down into my lower abdomen, and then pause, and then gently exhale it through my mouth. And I look at it as a figure 8. If we were to stand sideways, it would be a figure 8 shape. Down, up, and out. Gently closing your eyes, knowing that it's flowing through your heart and your solar plexus before it reaches your lower abdomen and then comes back. 2 of the most powerful chakras you have to define who you are as a human being. here on planet Earth. Recognize that it is here where our self-esteem and confidence begin to prepare us for our heart chakra. Our heart chakra in full form. Place your hands on your heart chakra while continuing to breathe this pattern. And know that each one of us, is beginning to explore our individual selves as love. And love is emitted in purity from our collective oneness. And the oneness of love becomes the light. We are before we enter our mother's womb and experience duality or separation. Rest in that. Rest in that space. Knowing that when all is let go of, that which we call nothingness is the power and the freedom of everything. Bless you all. As you gently come back into the rest of your body, I hope you feel a difference in who you are or who you might be. Because that's how you came in. And when you leave, that's what you're going to feel when you leave. Life is far more than anything we've been taught. And it's time now for all of us to, as I said before, think of the future generations. How do we help them before we leave here? We all have guides. Some call them angels, some call them aliens. Call them whatever you want. They're here to help you, assist you, but we have to open that heart because that's how they speak to us. We think it's through our head, but it's not. It's through our hearts. Love you all and thank you all. I'm glad that you're present and I'll be reading your notes and thank you. And I will be here every Monday at 222 here on Humanity Healing. That's a new time. I used to do this on Friday mornings, but as I say, with my own physical issues, 10 o'clock in the morning and brain fog can be quite challenging, to say the least. So as you can see, I can still laugh. I can still do all of these things. And this is the power that we have, is to say, yes, I have a disability here, or I have a problem there, or this finger doesn't work, or whatever. But it doesn't change who I am in my heart. May each of you come to know your heart It's the most precious event that will ever happen. Love you and thank you. I love you. I thank you. I respect you. I am you. You are me. We are unity. One heart, one love, forever. Blessings, dear ones, and we'll see you next Monday. And you can find me. Just dial Charlie Riverman somewhere. I'm out there. Bless you all.